Hi everybody, we're starting a new series because I read a lot of indie books and I wanted to give them a little bit more of a showcase on this channel. So these videos will be just kind of randomly popping up here and there, not on the normal Friday schedule. And we're going to talk about an indie book that I recently read, and that is An Incarnation of Shadow and Light by S.A. Christanson. And I really enjoyed this. This is not a high fantasy, I guess kind of a low fantasy, but high stakes story. So we have these characters who are called incarnate, and they embody powers from the sun or the moon. So we have a son of the moon and a daughter of the sun, or daughter of the sun, son of the moon. Blah. Actually, both of them that we encounter are that. I wonder, is it a gender strict thing, or can a woman be a daughter of the moon? That didn't happen in the book. I don't know. Interesting. But both of them have very different abilities. So our son of the moon has this kind of illusionary powers. They can do like colder things. They can kind of traverse distances depending, have shadows pull them around. And then the daughter of the suns have more healing capabilities, but also some mind tricks. It's very interesting. They're not like wholly defined in it, and it depends from incarnate to incarnate. So we're in this land called Virtuel, and they are kind of the royalty. So when an incarnate is found, they are made to basically rule this land, and the two previous incarnates have both passed away, leaving our new kiddos, Gabriel and Zoe, to take up the helm. They're best friends, and I actually really love that about this book, is they have a true friendship, and the banter is fantastic between them. I really felt like they were friends. There wasn't a moment where I was like, oh, are they gonna be love interests? It's like, no, they were pure friends, and it just read so well that way. Unfortunately for them, on the night of their coronation, someone else comes into play and kind of starts a coup, and it's another incarnate, another son of the moon. But this man, Nicholas, was an exiled, presumed dead son of the king of Bjordan, which is another country that does not like incarnate, thinks them evil. They think they're cursed ones. They're called Hexa. And he comes in going, well, Virtuel is the only place that's going to accept me. I'm taking the throne because I'm a prince and I deserve a throne. And the two main characters, so Gabriel and Zoe, are very opposites on their personality. Gabriel is very lackadaisical and he's out gambling, he's flirtatious, while Zoe is very high-strung anxiety girl who is trying to fix the things but is very, very stressed out. So they have a fun dynamic. But unfortunately, they lose their throne to Nicholas, and chaos ensues. Gabriel and Zoe escape with their lives and go on a crazy journey trying to retake their thrones, but along the way they meet other people. They meet this woman named Silje. I don't know how you pronounce her name. It's S-I-L-J-E. Cilia, who is surprisingly, not totally a spoiler because it's very quick in the book, a sister of Nicholas, and she's also a daughter of the sun. And so we have this incarnate circle, and you don't really know who to trust. You don't know who's pulling all the strings. And we also meet some other great friends. We have some criminal friends, and we have another POV of Dabria, or Dabria. I think it's Dabria. And Dabria is a guard, and she was one of the guards previously to Gabriel, but has since changed allegiances to Nicholas to save herself. I didn't totally understand why Dabria had a POV per se. She still added stuff to the story, but she didn't seem to have like a full arc. It did seem to leave off on a bit of a cliffhanger for where she was. Everything else wrapped up pretty neatly, but her story dealing with another character named Ava and where that was ending up, it kind of felt like a loose thread. Now, I don't know if this is a full series or not. Nothing is listed on Goodreads, but with indie books, it tends to be that you don't list next books in the series. I didn't see a series title or anything, so I'm assuming there's a sequel coming. I don't know. I actually asked the question on Goodreads about it. That's as much as the plot as I will tell you guys. Everything else you need to read. I really did enjoy this, though. I love the fact that, like, everyone is queer. in some way, shape, or form. Gabriel doesn't seem, he's very pan. Zoe we don't actually hear too much about, so my headcanon is ace, or at least biromantic ace. She doesn't really have any inclinations. Granted, the girl has the world on her shoulders trying to solve the problems. Sylvia definitely is bi. Nicholas is confirmed bi. Ava, Dabria, I believe fully lesbian. Alessi, non-binary. Don't know if they're bi though, or pan, but I know that they had a relationship with Gabriel in the past. So it was a very, very fun time, and I really commend the writing style for this because the banter, there's so many good, fun moments that just, it kind of felt like an old school fantasy. You know, like when you watched Stardust or something, where it's still high fantasy, but it's still like a fantasy world, but there are still jokes throughout it for the audience. That's what this felt like, and it made the whole reading experience very, very enjoyable for me. And I just really, really liked it. I found that you weren't totally sure how things were going to go down. I was kind of questioning like how things would resolve, and they did resolve in a very different way than I thought they would, with some interesting conclusions to the character arcs that at first I was like, that's a little jarring and it doesn't totally make sense. But after sitting on it for a bit, I'm like, no, that actually does make sense now that I think about it, especially in terms of Gabriel and Zoe's arcs. I was like, oh, does that really work? And it does. It does work, at least for me. That depends for you. But I thought it was very, very well crafted, very well written. The cover looks fantastic, and I'm very anxiously waiting for a sequel now for this. This did come out, I believe, in 2022. It's about 480 some odd pages, so it's not a small read, but it does read very fast because it is very action-packed. There's a lot of very fun moments. I feel like people who like Six of Crows, or not, I don't want to say Six of Crows because like, oh, it's a heist. Like, it does have some heist elements, but that kind of fantasy world, I feel like people who like Six of Crows will probably like this. It is an adult book, but there's nothing, no spicy or steamy. There's a little bit of like, there's a lot of flirtation, I'll say. Everybody's flirting with everybody in this, but there's no spicy scenes. So if that's something you don't like, okay, you're not going to get spicy scenes in this, but we get really great characters, and that's what I think S.A. Christanson did really well, was create these very three-dimensional and very different, flawed characters. Battery dies right when I'm trying to wrap all of everything up. I really enjoyed the characters. As for the world building, I was a little bit confused, especially with this magic system. Nothing was clearly defined, which is not totally necessary, as we're discovering the you know, lengths of the power that the incarnate have by interacting with each other. They all learn as they go, kind of a thing. We have two characters who pretty well know their abilities, and then Gabriel and Zoe, who were trained by the previous incarnate, but still are learning new stuff. So as the reader, you kind of get to learn along with them. I do think I would have liked a little bit more structure on that, but perhaps more will happen if we get a sequel. And like I said, I just wanted a bit more of a plot wrap up with Dabria's character, because she was a POV. The other characters made sense for POV. We had Nicholas, we had Sylvia, we had Gabriel and Zoe. We also had Asbjorn briefly as a POV, and I thought that was a very smart move, because normally I like very consistent POVs, but adding this kind of one moment of this king of Bjordel to have his, or Bjordel, I forgot already, have the POV in this moment was very, very smart. I also love the introduction of a lot of side characters, which is why I think we're going to have a sequel, because we were introduced to this character named Edvin, and I like Edvin, and I have thoughts on where Edvin's character could go, but I want to see if there is in fact going to be a sequel to give us what we want, you know. So I recommend this. I'm probably rating this 4.5 to 5 area right now. It's pretty high up there, so I'm thoroughly glad that I got to read this one. But yeah, that's my little mini review of An Incarnation of Shadow and Light. Cool, guys, go check it out. It is on KU, I believe. So if you are a KU subscriber, you can get it for free. Otherwise, you can buy it. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna go now, and I'll see you next time, cuties. Bye.